Hey guys, it's Miss Morris here. After my last video with the Cookie Monster, I don't know what it was, but it really made me crave some cookies. So today I'm going to make some cookies before I start our lesson. But I was wondering, how long would it be if the instructions say that it takes 12 minutes for the cookies to cook? If I put them in at 11:30, what time would I be taking them out? I don't know. We'll have to see when they come out of the oven when the oven beeps. Here we go. So when I was making cookies, I put the cookies in the oven at 11:30. On the instructions to make the cookies, it said it would take 12 minutes. So I was wondering, how long would 12 minutes be from 11:30? So I decided to do a number line. I did 11:30 for 12 minutes is blank. So then I came down and I made my number line, and I started with 11:30. Now, I knew that if I did a 10-minute jump, it would go from 11:30 to 11:40. So then I was like, I've already done 10 minutes, so now I just need to do 2 more minutes to make 12 minutes. So 11:40 plus 2 more minutes is 11:42. So I now know that my cookies should have been done by 11:42. And that is how you do time with a number line. So now that you guys have watched me make some cookies and figured out how much time had passed with 12 minutes from 11:30, we're now going to discuss the topic of the day. So the topic of the day is elapsed time. Elapsed time is simply how much time passes from the beginning of an event to the end of an event. So my example that I used earlier was elapsed time for Miss Morris baking cookies. I started at 11:30, 12 minutes had passed, and by the end, it was 11:42. And that was my first example of an elapsed time problem. Now, here's the next one. Miss Morris had to work after school today. The blue clock shows what time work started. The pink clock shows when work ended. How much time did Miss Morris spend at work? So like I said before, elapsed time is simply the time that has passed from the start of the event to the end of the event. So now we're just going to look at what we're really trying to answer. So what we're trying to answer is this: how much time had passed when Miss Morris went to work? So we're going to look at the blue clock and the pink clock to see when work started. So looking at the blue clock, when did work start for Miss Morris? Correct. It started at 5 o'clock. Because when we did time by the minute on our last lesson, we figured out that the shorthand is for hours, and so the hour is 5, and then the longhand is for minutes, and the minute is 0, so work started at 5 o'clock. When did work end for Miss Morris? That's right, it ended at 9 o'clock for Miss Morris because the shorthand for the hours pointed at the 9. The longhand for the minutes is pointed at 0 minutes, so work ended at 9 o'clock. So before I get started on working out the word problem, I always like to make sure I write down what the word problem gives me. So the word problem gave me that work started for Miss Morris at 5 o'clock, and work had ended for Miss Morris at 9 o'clock. And now I need to figure out how much time had passed between 5 and 9 o'clock. And the way I'm going to do that is with a strategy called a number line. You've seen number lines before. We recently had number lines with our fraction lessons about a month ago before we ended up doing school from home. This is no different. We're going to use a number line again. So let's start. So our first time given is 5 o'clock. So I'm going to write 5 o'clock at the very beginning because that was my start time. And I know that 9 o'clock is my end time, so I'm going to write that at the end, like so. So now, I need to figure out how much time was between 5 and 9. So I know that if I went up 1 hour from 5, that would be 6 o'clock. So I am going to do a 1 hour jump to 6 o'clock. I know that if I add another hour, I'm going to have it at 7 o'clock. Now if I make another hour jump, I'm going to have 8 o'clock. And if I have another hour jump, it's going to be 9 o'clock. So now I'm going to add up all of my hours to see how much time had passed between 5 and 9. So we have 1 hour plus 1 hour plus 1 hour plus 1 hour. So how many hours had passed between 5 and 9? 4 hours. Good job. Because we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 hours was how much time Miss Morris spent at work. And now you know how to do elapsed time. Let's do one more example together. So the word problem reads, a movie begins at 8 p.m. The movie ends at 10:30 p.m. How much time had passed from the beginning to the end of the movie? So below it shows that on the blue clock the movie had started at 8 p.m. and the movie had ended at 10:30 like the pink clock shows. So now we're going to do the strategy of a number line. So who remembers when the movie started? Yes, it started at 8 p.m. And when did the movie end? 10:30 p.m. Does anybody know what I mean by p.m.? It means that it's happening at night. You know, like in the evening, how when you're about to go to bed and it's from the hours of 12:01 p.m. to 11:59 p.m. That's your like day to evening stretch. And then you have an a.m., which is your 12 a.m. to 11:59 a.m., which is your morning. That's what I'm talking about when we do p.m.s or a.m.s. And remember that in case I decide to challenge you or something for a word problem. All right, so now we know that the movie starts at 8 p.m. and the movie ends at 10:30 p.m. So now we're going to complete our number line to see how much time had passed. So who can tell me what an hour jump would be from 8? It would be 9. Good job. 9 p.m. What would be another hour jump from 9 p.m.? It would be 10 p.m. Good job. Well, we know we just have one more jump from 10 to 10:30, but is it an hour jump? No, that would be 11 o'clock. What kind of jump would it be? How many minutes to get from 10 to 10:30? It would be a 30-minute jump. So I'm going to write 30 minutes because then 10 to 10:30 would be 30 minutes. So now we're going to add all of these up together to see how much time had passed from 8 to 10:30 p.m. So we have 1 hour plus 1 hour plus 30 minutes. Who could add those together and tell me how much time had passed? If you said 2 hours and 30 minutes, you were correct. Yes, we got 1 hour plus 1 hour is 2 hours, and then 2 hours plus 30 minutes is 2 hours and 30 minutes. And that is another example of elapsed time. So now I have a challenge for you. I want you to figure out this word problem I'm about to show you, and I want to see your answers on Zoom for our next math lesson, okay? So let's see if you can figure out this math problem. So the word problem reads, you went out with your family for lunch. When you arrived, it was 11:30 a.m. When you left, it was 1:40 p.m. How much time had passed from the start of lunch to the end of lunch? So I want you to do two things. First, I want you to display your start time on a clock like this for me. You can draw it if you want, or if you have an analog clock handy, you can do it that way too. And then I want you to display your end time on an analog clock like this. I want to see if you guys can truly use analog clocks on Zoom on our next Zoom meeting. And then to figure out how much time had passed between 11:30 a.m. to 1:40 p.m., I want to see if you guys can do a number line like I just showed you earlier in the video. So remember two things. You need to display your times on an analog clock. You need to show me how you figured out your elapsed time on a number line. Good luck, and I hope to see all of your problems on our Zoom meeting and see what you did and how you did it. Bye!